discussion and maybe in the physical meeting in Boya. So, Mr. Njeke, please, maybe if you can share the slide, let me just, so that our conversation can be structured. Okay, so innovative youth livelihood solutions, all these big topics that we always develop like that, sometimes it can make people get scared of it. But today I really want to focus on something which is very important: climate action and the green jobs, which is a serious conversation going over the continent now, and how we can move from the problems that we have to solutions. And I'll be sharing maybe some from my experience, and most importantly from a research that we recently done, a youth entrepreneurship research we recently carried out across 14 African countries, and the studies were really revealing, talking to young people and getting the challenges that they face when it comes to entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, green jobs in general. So yeah, that's what I'll be sharing. Maybe next slide. And today I won't talk so much about myself because I obviously wear a lot of hats. But today I'll just focus on the climate action part and maybe the green jobs and our topic of discussion today. But just to give a background, I'm an environmental engineer. So for the past 8 years, I've been working a lot on environmental issues, and I've been involved with a couple of projects, I've worked as a consultant. I've had a fair share of working maybe in Africa and part of Europe as well, done some consultancy in the US as well. So this gives us a good grounding to have this discussion. And the most important thing I want to say now is a continental research we recently had on youth entrepreneurship with restless development, which was all about trying to understand the challenges that young people face when it comes to entrepreneurship and green jobs. And
hello, Harrison.
All through this conversation, I'll be sharing that research, which practical from young people countries.
Harrison.
Am I breaking? Is it okay now?
It's okay now, but you were really breaking. It's okay.
Sure. Now, can you hear me, Njeke? Hello?
I can get you.
Hear you now.
We can get you now.
Okay, so I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's okay. I think it's better now. Let me just try to switch the Wi-Fi. All right. All right. Okay, maybe the next slide, please.
Is this okay? Hello?
Okay, I think sometimes these statistics, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Maybe I will just try.
Yes, you are.
All right, so I was saying that the context is really important. Why a discussion like this matters? We know the statistics about the population of Africa. 60% of our population is under 25 years old. Yeah. So it's really important that we ground this on the realities of young people. And I'm happy that this is coming from a research that we have already done on youth entrepreneurship and the challenges that they face when it comes to accessing jobs, opportunities, especially.
Hello, Harrison. Hello? Yes, I'm sure Harrison is gone again. Harrison? Hello? Then let's just give some few
I
minutes.
think he has got offline.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be back in few. I'm sure the network is presently not even in Cameroon, so I'm sure he's using the Wi-Fi of his hotel. Just give him a few minutes and he'll be back. Let me try to get to him. Harrison, you are welcome back. Maybe you try to let's just off the maybe you off the video. I'm getting you. Maybe off the video. Maybe off your camera.
Okay, can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can get you.
All right, I'm so sorry about that. The connection is really terrible, and I just had to switch to my phone, and I'm actually doing air. I'm roaming, so it's really expensive. But let me just get to it. So as I was saying, this is the context that we find ourselves in, the challenges that we face on the African continent, looking at our population, and like the research we recently did with young people across 14 African countries, it was really interesting to get the realities of the challenges that young people face when it comes to access to jobs, when it comes to even the entrepreneurship that we are talking about as a tool for unemployment and more specifically the green jobs. And during that research, what we did was I think we had over 143 focus group discussions across 14 countries and over 1,400 survey questions and a lot of interviews with these young people, those who are in entrepreneurship, those who are in green jobs, and also stakeholders across 14 African countries. And I would say that the first barrier when it came to maybe the challenge when it comes to entrepreneurship, youth unemployment was lack of capital and finance. And that is a big issue, and we are going to see more in this as we go on with the presentation. And across the research, we also saw that 47% of young people agree that green jobs offer real opportunities for them. But this number is also has some discrepancy inside because just 17% understood what green jobs were. So when we explain more about green jobs, really was 47% then said that green jobs could offer like real opportunity for them. And it's interesting to see how young people also reacted to issues around the problems of unemployment. There was a young guy from Nigeria that said, who an entrepreneur really is, which will also ground us what we'll be discussing in this, in the next slide. He said, there are a lot of problems in our communities. So, and a business person, or an entrepreneur, or a young person who wants to see solutions is basically someone who sees a problem in society and finds a way to solve that problem. And in solving that problem, they get resources, they get finances, they get stability. So that is what made things quite interesting in that research. Now, what also happened was that it was a very important discussion when it came to maybe social entrepreneurship, because sometimes social entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship, it didn't have a clear-cut difference. So the young people were mixing maybe entrepreneurship in general and social entrepreneurship. And then so we try to look at how do we then look at social entrepreneurship as a solution to the unemployment issues we are facing across this country, because it's already a problem if you look at the studies. Now, what I want us to focus on now is, let's look at the pathway from the problem to solution. How can we see social entrepreneurship as a livelihood, not a last resort? That is what I want us to focus on today, that we need to shift from survival mode. How do we move from survival mode? Because the truth is that most of us, most people who are into social entrepreneurship, they see it as a last resort. If you look at the issues that we see in our communities, when you tell someone that you're a social entrepreneur, it's like you have failed in life. And so social entrepreneurship becomes like a tool for people who cannot get a job. So they see it as a last resort. But how do we move from that beyond survivor to idea, impact, and maybe financial independence? Maybe next slide. So how do we think from beyond survival mode? Because for too long, this is the truth of it, for too long, entrepreneurship has been positioned as a thing you do when you can't find a job, especially social entrepreneurship. We need to challenge our framing, because if we are to really move from problem to solution, we need to challenge that framing completely. Social entrepreneurship is not a fallback. It is a strategic pathway to independence. It is a strategic pathway to innovation, and it's a strategic pathway to community transformation. So we are moving from those problems to solutions through social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship is not a last resort. But what does social entrepreneurship really mean in our context? It is basically, for example, I'm giving a definition from someone in the research we carry out. They say that it is using business as a tool to solve real community problems. So you're using business as a tool to solve real community problems, that you're affecting the lives of your community, solving the issues facing your community using business. A young person in Cameroon said that social entrepreneurship is all the efforts made by youth to achieve some degree of financial independence. That also could be very interesting, because if young people are already seeing maybe social entrepreneurship as a pathway towards financial independence, it's already good. It's already very good. But we need to challenge. If we don't challenge that survival mode of social entrepreneurship, that's a last resort, then it's systemic change will be difficult. And when we are trying to address issues as unemployment, if it is not systemic, it's quite very challenging. So, as like just to say that the most powerful shift in mindset I want us to have today is from, especially for us in the social sector, maybe in the NGO sector, we need to shift from I need to survive I can create value for others. Because when we create values for others, value comes to us, like in the form of finances. So we identify the problems in the communities, the social problems, and the challenges that we face. We create values by solving the problem from others. And the value that comes to us is that financial resources, that financial independence that young people are yearning for is in across the continent. So for us, I think that the biggest issue when it comes to social entrepreneurship is like how do we learn to create value for others using our skills, and how in turn that value that we create for others create value for us, and that value for us will be the financial independence that we really need, that we want, because that's what young people want, that they are getting into entrepreneurship because of financial independence that they want. So at the end of the day, financial independence as a human need, especially for young people, is not a personal goal. It is a precondition for everything else. Whether you are doing an NGO, you are doing whatever you're doing, financial independence, financial security is what people really need. So for me to really ground us on this is like, when we look at social entrepreneurship as something that it can build qualities, like personal qualities in young people that can sustain them through hardship. Like, for example, social entrepreneurship helps people build resilience, patience. Because if you ask entrepreneurs, one thing that you develop as whether you're a social entrepreneur or the other kind of entrepreneur is like you develop patience, and those are survival skills that you need. Self-awareness also is something that social entrepreneurs develop in the course of what they do, and the capacity to fail forward. As an entrepreneur, you develop that capacity to fail forward. So in all these things, these are soft skills that through social entrepreneurship, young people can build. But we need to also change our framing. One thing I'll reiterate here is that we need to change the framing of social entrepreneurship as a survival mode, as a last resort. You look for a job, you don't get a job, you go to social entrepreneurship. That is not it. It needs to change. Now, if we are looking at within this entrepreneurial space, I think now one of the most exciting and most underexplored frontiers, one of the most underexplored frontiers or areas is the green economy. Of course, the green economy is still very new. And I would say that green economy is new, is misinterpreted by a lot of people, young people. In the research, I think there's a slide where I present some of the results of the research, what young people understand as green economy. So our green jobs. So it was interesting to see young people, and the fact that when they don't understand what green jobs are, it's difficult for them to tap into those opportunities. So, but this is also a very, very important space. These green jobs that we are talking about, and sustainability opportunities, which can be something for the young people. Now, I think this is important. This is important because when I talk about green jobs, I don't mean some abstract environmental work in a faraway lab, right? I mean, these are opportunities that are available right now in our communities, in the sectors that you understand. Green jobs is not. Recently, we're having a conversation, and some young people in the university, they feel like green jobs is something from the West. No, green jobs is not something from the West. There are the opportunities that are available in our communities right now, and we can look at the ways of tapping into those opportunities and really build that financial independence that young people so want through entrepreneurship. And the first area that we're looking at, Mr. Njeke, is an innovator in the agri sector. I believe they're talking a lot now about agri innovation. For example, in rural Kenya, during our research, in rural Kenya, rural Kenya, rural Tanzania. Someone said that green economy is about farming. So to understand green economy like farming, that when they hear green jobs, it's all about farming. Well, they are not so wrong, because someone said that green economy is how they can use agriculture to make money. Of course, that is something that is available to them at that moment. And agriculture, of course, is green economy. So in this area, for example, this agri-innovation that we are talking about, there are enormous opportunities. We can talk about organic farming, we can talk about the value chain development, we can talk about climate smart agriculture. Mr. Njeke can give us a lecture on that. We can talk about food processing. These are opportunities that are available to us right now. So it's not something in a far away lab. Another area is clean energy. I talk about clean energy. Clean energy is where there's energy access. Energy access is still a very big issue in Africa. Like if you look at the statistics of the number of people who don't have access to electricity, but how do we get to energy access? How do we tap into clean energy as a means of getting into that employment that young people so yearn for? We talk about solar, there's off-grid power access. And the truth is that if you look at most of the African countries, there's no way the national grid can be extended to cover all the countries. So we're looking at off-grid solutions to rural communities, to communities that are growing. So these are opportunities. For example, they say that every community that lacks reliable electricity is a market. Every community that lacks electricity access, even in Yaoundé, even in Douala, there are places without electricity. Those communities are opportunities. And then another important area that, if you look at circular economy, waste is a problem in every city. In Cameroon, for example, I'm talking about Cameroon because I know much about Cameroon. It's like the waste management problem in Cameroon is endemic. It's systemic. So how do we tap into circular economy? What are the opportunities available into circular economy? Turning waste into value, recycling of some of these waste into these products. We are solving a problem. We are solving problems, and in solving those problems, we are creating value, and the value we get in return are the autonomy, the financial independence, and some of these issues we are talking about. So I'll also share a bit about some of the practical work that is being done in maybe across some African countries in terms of these circular economy solutions, these green jobs it seems to be like a far-fetched concept from the West, but these are things we are doing in our communities. There are problems that we need to solve. Another example is nature-based solutions. When the people in the climate space, they talk a lot about nature-based solutions, reforestation, ecotourism, conservation work, watershed management. These are sectors where African communities have traditional expertise, and there's global demand in all those areas. And there's also global funding. It is growing very rapidly. So these are very important issues. And then we can talk about climate tech. Climate tech now is also a growing market for our communities. How do we tap into those opportunities? How do young people tap into those opportunities at this point in time? So, because, for example, we know that there's a growing market for tools that help communities to monitor and adapt to climate change and also build resilience against climate change. Now, the truth is that young Africans, for us like young Africans who understand our local context are uniquely positioned to build some of these tools. That's why those who go into climate tech from Africa, they are the people who understand the African context, and they are uniquely positioned to build some of these climate tech tools that is so available. It's a lot of these things, right? So I think that that's also kind of a very important thing that we need to look at. And then another thing that we are also looking at how do we focus on is sustainable trade. Like there's sustainable trade now, green certification, eco-labeling, sustainable supply chain, sustainable mobility, and all these things. Markets are available for them. But we need to be in such a way that we are looking at the problems, offering, using our skills, young people using these skills, tools to address those problems, and in return, value comes to us. Now, there was an interesting response from a lady in Burundi that talked about the green economy, and which is important for us to think about. The lady said, every economic activity that generates income while also respecting the environment, not just avoiding damage, but actively protecting and improving it, that's green economy. So that's also a very interesting field. So this field are so diverse. I'm seeing a lot of comments in the chat, but what I want us to look at now is these are some of the spaces where young people can tap into this. And something that I want us to look at is, but someone just mentioned that they had an idea and it didn't get funding. Now, how do you assess all these opportunities, or how do you tap into all these opportunities without the tools of the 21st green economy? So it's very impossible to, for example, circular economy, or maybe the climate tech that we are talking about, AI. How do young people tap into some of these opportunities without the tools, without the skills that they need? So now we need to talk about, we need to look a bit about the digital skills that maybe are needed in the future of work. So maybe next slide, Mr. Njeke. All right, okay, so I was looking at the digital skills, next slide. I think we've talked about this, some of the opportunities available in this area. These are just a few, but let's go to the digital skills, because all these areas, they have opportunities. But what skills and tools do we need to access some of these opportunities? Because sometimes it's like there are a lot of opportunities out there, but people cannot get those opportunities maybe because they don't have the skills that is needed.
Danjeka, I think we've lost Mr. Harrison again. I don't know.
Digital skills is not the future. Digital is the present, right? And
Harrison,
for many young people across West and Central Africa,
Harrison,
can you hear me?
is that we lost you for about 2 minutes. We lost you for 2 minutes. We were not getting what you were saying.
Can you hear me?
We can get you now, but we lost you for 2 minutes.
Okay, so, all right. No, I don't. Okay. All right, so I'll just focus on the digital skills and the future of work. I was saying that right now everything is digital, and we are saying that digital is not the future, and digital is the present. And if you know, look at maybe West and Central Africa, for many young people, it's already the primary pathway for them to the market. If you look at the trend in Central and West Africa, and this was also reviewed in the research that we did. Now, look at what digital platforms have done. They've removed the need, digital platforms have removed the need for expensive physical shops. I cannot remember the number of things I've bought on WhatsApp status without even knowing some people personally, without have any personal relationship. So there's some of these digital tools have removed the need for expensive physical shops. These are some of the things that young people identified as the skills and maybe some of the opportunities that this digital age is offering. And a young a young person from Burundi during our research said that online sales are profitable at the moment because they are less costly and there's no tax to pay. Well, this might not be so in every country, because even maybe in Cameroon, the thing is that some people don't understand the tax code, the tax law. There's a tax on maybe digital, if you sell digitally, you make income digitally. I think there's a tax maybe in Cameroon, but in other places it's not there. So sometimes when they don't understand, is like it's a challenge, but that's an opportunity in Burundi. Now let's look at mobile money. Maybe what mobile money has done. Mobile money and fintech tools, they're actually increasingly filling the gap that former banks could not fill. So every Cameroon, basically majority of Cameroonians have mobile money accounts, and it is their transaction. So these are some digital tools that are making things very easy. I also hear now that there are online bank loans. They don't need any collateral for some of those loans. People can invest, put in their business. Because one of the major challenge with social entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship that young people identified in our research was that it was the lack of capital. And if some of these things, these digital tools are providing access to capital without the collateral that commercial banks always ask, it's a good thing. And just to add to this is like something, just to add to the green economy is the gig economy. The gig economy where young people are working remotely. Someone in Nairobi is working for a company in the US, someone in Douala is working for a company in China. So the gig economy is something that is also growing. But how do people take use of those opportunities like freelancing, consulting, remote work? I cannot say the number of remote consulting work I've had since maybe from 2015 or 2014. So that during that time, I did not know that it was freelancing. But now, if you see how the space has evolved, it has opened streams of income that simply did not exist decades ago. So somehow, digital skills, it helps to break maybe geographic barrier that existed in the previous area of work. Now, geographical barrier is breaking. But there's something very important from the research that we have is that with all these skills that are available, young people still have something. 40% of young people that we did in the research, they said they feel that the education does not adequately prepare them for entrepreneurship. And furthermore, only 17% are even aware of green jobs. Some people, 21% said cite limited business knowledge. So in all these things, there's limited business knowledge. And 19% said there's lack of mentorship. All of us know the importance of mentorship in this area, in this space. All of us know the importance of mentorship. Young people are also identifying that as a challenge to get opportunities in the green economy, as a challenge to get opportunities maybe in social entrepreneurship. And that also is a very, very important issue. Now, one thing that all these things says is that opportunities exist, but the knowledge, the skills, and the infrastructure to access them is very weak. So for us in Africa, maybe West and Central Africa, the challenge is not necessarily talent, because Africa has extraordinary talent. Sometimes the challenge is connection, connecting young people to practical skills, like connecting young people to mentors, connecting young people to information, about what is actually available for them. And that is why maybe a platform like, let's just say, what we are doing today, it's important because we are connecting ourselves together. For example, maybe Mr. Njeke is mentoring a lot of young people. That's some of these young people they just need that connection, they just need that mentorship, they just need that support. So that you see how this is important. What we are doing now is important. This program, this call for solution, this program is important, right? People are joining, maybe they hear some things that they've not heard, they connect to people that they've not connected to before and all that. So there's still a lot of connection that we need. One thing also that I think is that there's serious good news. There's good news for us because many of us are already building. All of us here are social entrepreneurs. We're addressing environmental issues in Cameroon. There are people in the secular economy, there are people in the other sectors. So all of us are already building. So now let's try to look at what is working in some African countries. We can identify some of the solutions from our research. I don't mention the one that I'm personally working on, but I'll mention some of the ones we had from our research. And I also want us to spend some time here and have some discussions also. Maybe JK, just go to the next slide. Let me see. Okay, so some of these examples that I'm trying to share is like there were some of the solutions that came from the research that we did. Like, for example, plastic is a general problem across every African country. Plastic is a serious problem. For example, in Senegal, it's like young people are producing these pavement bricks from plastic or industrial waste. So they use plastic and industrial waste to produce these pavement blocks. Now, if you think at it very well, they are solving two problems simultaneously. Using plastic to produce pavement bricks. The first problem is waste accumulation. And the other problem they are solving with that solution is infrastructure. They are creating manufacturing jobs, transport jobs, installation jobs. Turning plastic into product, if you look at the whole chain, from that converting that plastic to the pavement stones, that's what is very important. We can see that in Douala, it's in Cameroon, it's in so many places. But we identified that in the research that we did. So that's a very important issue. Now, one Senegalese guy told us that in the research that in this work that they are doing, not only are they reducing plastic waste accumulation, but they are also employing young people. Of course, the company employs about 15 people. And it's quite interesting to see how that turns. So they are combating environmental degradation, also providing sustainable professional opportunities for young people. Another solution that we looked at was Wise School. There's Wise School in Kenya. Wise School is an energy solution. There's also Wise School in Cameroon, but I'm looking at the one in Kenya. What they did was that they developed a solar-powered cold storage unit for rural clinic. Now, if you look at our healthcare system, rural areas, they have issues receiving medications, especially with electricity issues, properly stored medication. So Wise School developed a solar-powered cold storage, and it has reached over 3,000 people already. That's a solution that is working. If you look at Nigeria's own there are a lot of these solutions, but particularly there's a company called One Grid Energies and One Plastic. And what they did is that they developed a solar lantern from plastic. So they're solving two problems, the problems of waste management and also electricity access. These are scalable impacts. In Burkina Faso, for example, there's a project that was backed by the UNDP, empowering young people to engage in green jobs, green entrepreneurship, through agri-innovation and eco-ventures. Now, the one in Burkina Faso is really interesting because it's a model of what happens when youth energy meets institutional support. So sometimes youth energy, when it doesn't match institutional support, it becomes a very big challenge. So when this energy is met with institutional support, with policy support, the difference that it can make is so significant. Now, but one thing that I would like us to look about is that, but what do these, like all these projects, or maybe the ones that you know, there are so many of them, but what do these things all have in common? The first thing is that there's local problem identification. Local problem identification. All these people identify the local problem. So you cannot solve, you cannot do anything if you don't identify a local problem. There's also resourcefulness. All these young people are very resourceful. There's resourcefulness in this thing. And also something that I could think about is environmental and social consciousness. These people are environmentally and socially conscious. That's why they came up with these solutions. And the truth is that all of them are willing, they were willing to start small, because when I read all the projects, they started very small, and when they developed a working model, they could scale up from there. So that's something that I think it's very important. They all started as ideas, heard that from young people, and what did they do? They refused to wait. They refused to wait. So it's quite interesting. These solutions are actually not outliers, I believe. They're actually proof of concept. And maybe in the framework that I will propose is we'll see where this proof of concept comes to play. Because when you have a proof of concept, you can replicate. And when you replicate, you can build a community that can generate a lot of funds and maybe impact policy. So that is a very important issue. So this thing is, these models, they are models that exist and they are working. But the problem is, why are there not many of them? The problem is that, why is it that there's plastic everywhere? For example, in Cameroon, there's plastic everywhere. Or maybe why is it that there are not so many people transforming the plastics to pavement bricks, right? Why is it that these solar solutions are not readily available? The truth is that there are barriers. And if we can identify the barriers, we can look at the solution towards those. How do we address, maybe target those barriers? And let's maybe look at the barriers and how do we break those barriers. Next slide. It's dirty job. That's the first barrier. That's perception, of course, is a barrier. That's perception. JK, please, can you go to the next slide? Because I want to look at the barriers.
I'm there already.
Okay, so these are the barriers that we have. The truth is that the research that we did, I'm really referencing that research because I was one of the researchers, and the conversation I was having with young people in Cameroon, it was quite interesting, it was revealing. And the truth is that the research was very clear about what's getting in our way, about these barriers. But and if we understand these barriers, we can look at what are the solutions to these barriers. The first barrier, the number one barrier, is finances. The number one barrier is financial. It's a financial barrier. In the research that we did, 69% of young people in the survey that we did cited lack of capital as their primary obstacle. But the truth is that this is not just about having money, right? It's about how financial systems are designed. It's not about having money. It's about how the financial systems are designed to exclude young people. To exclude young people. That is the truth. Banks require collateral. If you've gone to maybe to a commercial bank to get a loan, they require collateral. young people, they don't have any. They don't have any. Young person, maybe just graduating from the university, or even you still in, they don't have any. And then another issue is import duties on solar panels. This was peculiar in Nigeria. They said import duties on solar panel was also a very serious issue on the cost. So about 10%. I don't know if that's true, but that's what the research identified. So green startups in general are expensive. That is what we said. That is what we looked at, we saw during the research. So financial exclusion is one of the big gaps. But how do we break this financial exclusion of young people? Because the financial system, there's no way we can go around it. But how do we break it? So the first thing that we thought about was youth-friendly grants. That's why you see youth-friendly grants, maybe foundations like the Tenu Elumelu Foundation and other friendly grants that young people can get access to. That's the way we break it, because the system has already been designed to exclude young people. We can talk about mobile micro lending, some green financing instruments that are available to young people. We can talk about peer saving groups. And another important thing that we can talk about is, because we are looking at the green economy, we can talk about tax relief and import exemptions on some of these green products. This will help young people a lot. And on this note, I would say that sometimes young people are not just aware of the tax exemption that is there, because government is also doing some work. Government is doing, for example, in Cameroon, I'll just give this example in the context of Cameroon that young people don't know. In Cameroon, there's a tax exemption on the importation of this one goes to mobility, on electric vehicles, of electric cars, electric motorcycles, charging infrastructure. There's even a tax break on these solar products. But if young people don't know, how do they get into that? So while we call on tax breaks, young people also need to be aware of that. And let me just go to the second barrier, which is skills and knowledge gap. The truth is, let's be frank here. Let's be frank here. Our educational systems were built for employment, not entrepreneurship. That's the truth. We are going to a university in Cameroon anywhere, built for employment, not entrepreneurship. We produce graduates who can answer exam questions, but they cannot navigate business registration process. This is a reality. And this knowledge gap is costing us a lot. This knowledge gap is costing us a lot. So how can we do to fix this thing, to fix these skills and knowledge gap? Because the research has already identified. I think that one thing is practical and very market-driven curricula. We train graduates that go out, they cannot work in the industry, right? Maybe we have innovation labs in schools, we have vocational training. It should be valued, not stigmatized. In Cameroon, for example, technical schools and vocational training is stigmatized. It's still being stigmatized right now as we are talking. For example, in Nigeria, polytechnic seems to also be stigmatized. That's a real issue. So, but how do we change that? So we need to have, and more importantly, we need to have mentorship. We need to have structured mentorship, sustained. Because sometimes the reason why young people are not getting into green jobs is that they don't see anyone like them doing the green jobs or into the green jobs. So they need role models. Like Mr. Njeke is into climate smart agriculture, that he's a role model in the community. Maybe Sandra is in ocean, blue economy. They see this role model, they can ask questions. And then the third barrier that is there is structural and institutional barriers. In Cameroon, I don't know about other countries, but the institutional barriers in most of us accessing maybe green jobs or getting into social entrepreneurship, maybe getting the required permits, documents, there are bureaucratic delays. I'm also talking maybe in other African countries. Another important thing is unreliable electricity. Electricity is not reliable anywhere in Cameroon. There's poor transport infrastructure, there's weak policy frameworks. And in the research that we had, up 16%, even internet. Like Mr. Njeke is struggling. Now, me, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. And obviously, most of all are also very struggling, are also struggling. So that's this structural institutional barriers are very serious across 14 African countries that we did this research with. It's very, very there. And then there's also very high taxes. Some countries don't have import subsidies on maybe renewable energy, on all these green economy things. So it's very serious. Now, but how do we fix this? I think that for me, we need to simplify business registration. I remember one time I was in Egypt and we went to a certain ministry and they were saying that business registration in Egypt is 1 day, 24 hours. You get your business license and everything. 24 hours, so that streamline the process. Maybe Rwanda also has that. But in Cameroon, for example, there's no way to register a business 1 day. Maybe 1 week, 1 month. So there's no way, right? Those are barriers. Those are serious barriers. We need youth responsive regulatory frameworks, public-private partnerships that build this infrastructure for young people. We are talking about internet. Look at maybe the gig economy, more than a month. So these are some of the issues. But there's also one thing that is often overlooked when it comes to entrepreneurship and even social entrepreneurship. And during this research, we actually identified them. The first is, this is the psychosocial barriers, which is not often talked about a lot. Psychosocial barriers. 20% of young people in our study fear failure, like they fear failure. So that's a big issue, the fear of failure. The fear of failure is the reason why most people don't start. Most people don't start. Most people cannot even take these opportunities. And some is not even financial risks. There's also social embarrassment for young people who wants to get into this, maybe to the green economy or social entrepreneurship. There's fear of embarrassment because that's how society has. Remember at the beginning we said that social entrepreneurship has been structured in such a way that it looks like a last resort. So there's this fear of social embarrassment. So this is very issue that is very important. There's one guy in Nigeria that I was having the discussion. He said it's hard. It's very hard. It's almost as if everything is working against us in Nigeria. That's what he said. So that statement is both a cry and a call to action. So from this, what I really want to say is that we need to have maybe visible success stories. We need to have visible success stories that these young people can see. We also need emotional support structure. And more so, we need real people in the community that are running this project, not celebrities, that the people can relate to. Because sometimes when these things are brought by celebrities, the young people feel like they are disconnected from them, right? So we need real people with similar backgrounds. Like, for example, a young person in my community in Bamenda sees me doing this thing. They can easily approach me because they see that I'm from that community. So we need these real people that are doing this with success story that can encourage others. Now, but I wanted to share a slide about the research that we did, but because of time, I will not share that the summary of the slide. I want us to go to a framework that I think that with all these challenges that the research has identified, with all these things that we are discussing, what framework can we actually use? So this is I'll share it with JK and maybe they can send it to others. It's very interesting. So I'll not talk about this, but what I want to do is, how do we move from ideas to action. I want to present maybe its practical framework based on what I'm personally doing and what we've seen that could work in this research. So maybe the next slide, I think it's the last. The next slide, I will not present this. It's already, I think all right. So how do we move from ideas to scalable action? So this is the practical framework that I want to present to us today. The first thing is, I talk about identify, design, pilot, connect, and scale. Now, if you look at everything we've talked about today, it comes down to this question. How do you take an idea in your head and turn it into something that creates real livelihoods for real people in a real community in a sustainable way? So how do we take that idea in our head and turn it into something that creates real livelihoods for people? So I'll present this 5 framework. So the first thing that we'll talk about is identify. We need to start with a problem. You don't start with a problem that you don't know. Start with the problem that you know in a community you actually live in, the community you actually belong to and you live in, not the problem that you're about. So because most young people that we've seen, the communities we live in, that's the first step. Not the problem that you read somewhere, that's the problem from Cameroon, from this country. The one that you live in. And because for me, for example, the most powerful ventures that we've seen are, for example, the paving stones in Senegal, in Cameroon, in other places, the solar lanterns in Nigeria. They started because young people were deeply embedded in those communities. They saw the problems in the communities that they live in. They don't read the problems. And they could not ignore those problems. This is really important because our local knowledge, when it comes to the green economy, to this social entrepreneurship, our local knowledge is our greatest asset. You don't have to underestimate it. Start with the problem. Identify the problem in that community that you live in. The next is design. Design your solution. What do you do for social entrepreneurship for us in this space? What do we do? Design your solution with your community, not for your community. Because more than that, we design, especially if you look at the NGO space, we design solutions for community, not with the community. I won't work. Because this is the difference between extractive industries, extractive businesses, and social enterprise. Social enterprise, they design the solution with the community, not for the community. You involve the people you are trying to serve in shaping your product or service. Because with this, it will make it more relevant. It will build trust and it will obviously create ownership, right? That is what we are supposed to do. We need to design the solution with the community and not for the community. And another thing that I will also say is that we should make it youth-led. You are controlling the direction, the pace and the values of what you are building. And then step 3 is pilot. Don't go and put a lot of money into something that has not worked before. You need to do a pilot. Before you try building an empire, test your idea at a very small scale. Keep the cost low. This is what we'll keep the cost low. You learn fast, you fail forward. Fail small. So you need to pilot. Sometimes, most at times, we forget to pilot. Of course, because we receive grants, it's not possible. But when we are solving real community issues, we need to pilot. Because the most important thing in a pilot phase is what is not actually success. The most important thing in a pilot phase is not success. It's learning. What do people actually need? What price would they pay? What delivery mechanism works? The answers will obviously surprise us, honestly speaking. The answers will surprise us. And it's good the answers will surprise us, because with that, we will make our eventual scale up more likely to succeed. So pilot, don't forget, you don't be an empire. Don't try to be an empire with an idea you've not tested. Step 4, what do? Connect. This is what we fail to do. We connect. Most young entrepreneurs, especially in the green sector, they fail to connect and they get stuck. You will get stuck, obviously. And sometimes we get stuck not because we lack the skills or ideas, because we are trying to build alone. And I like what Mr. Njeke always emphasizes on: collaboration. Collaboration. There's, in the NGO sector, there's a lot of individualistic kind of thing. This might do this project, this might do this project. We don't work together. For example, I was reading something in Boya that there are 50,000 registered NGO in Boya. I'm not sure if that statistic is right, but we are very individualistic. So we need to connect. You need mentors who have walked the path. That's one thing I want to say. We need mentors. We need peers who can share resources. We're sharing resources, learning resources, webinars, and all these things. And the knowledge, it's very important. We need networks. For example, the Bosch Alumni Network. We need networks to connect to. So connect. Connect to finance, because at the end of the day, connect to finance, you connect to market, you connect to policy, right? Our research also shows that this is important. And let's go to step 5, because after step 5, I think we'll go to maybe a reflection. You scale. After you've connected, so you identify the problem, you design the solution, you pilot, you connect, and then you scale. But the truth is that scaling is not just growing your business. Scaling is not about growing the business. Scaling is replicating the model that worked in the pilot. Because it's from scaling, replicating that model, that you can influence the policies. At the end of the day, if you don't, unemployment is so endemic. If we are not able to influence the policies that will enable others to do what we are doing, that's why you see some of these solutions are so isolated. We're not able to to replicate that model that others can influence policy so that others can do it. The challenges will be the same. And when we scale, when we replicate the model, we can actually participate in the ecosystems that support youth entrepreneurship. It could be regionally, it could be nationally, it could be continentally. And in replicating, what do? We can also foster cross. Okay, Mr. Njeke, am I still there?
Yes, you
All
are.
right, so I'll just finish in about 3-5 minutes. Please just permit me. I'm really sorry for these network issues.
My internet went off actually. It just came back, so I'll struggle.
All right, okay. I read this research from the OECD. One thing they said was that most young entrepreneurs, especially in the developing world, that's Africa, there's this lack of market intelligence, especially in this Greek economy, which is still growing, which is like still new in most of our African contexts. Like that, the lack of market intelligence and strategic advice is one of the main reasons why young entrepreneurs don't even achieve their competitive potential. So, but how do you get market intelligence if you don't collaborate? If these replicable models are not there? So, market intelligence is very important. So, now I wanted to talk about 3 key enablers for scale when you're scaling your project, because we're at the level of scale. You need all these 3 pillars to work so that you can scale. These 3 pillars must work together, because finance and funding, they must be there. I recently heard that finance without skills, you waste money. If you have finance without the skills, you waste money. So skills is supposed to be there. Skills without policy, without the policy support, creates frustrated entrepreneurs. And policy without access to market. What does it create? It creates beautiful documents that don't change lives. So this framework, this framework only works when we combine finance, education, and policy support to move together. I think this is very important. We need to combine these three. And for me to transition to I think I've been talking a lot, and maybe there's been a lot of me talking. Maybe we need to contribute, we need to talk. So I want us to maybe reflect on three questions that I have. Maybe next slide, Ngeke. I have three questions for us. Maybe we can just discuss. We can just reflect on the question for one minute, and then maybe two or three, maybe one person contribute per question, or two people, and we can take it from there. So the first thing is, what's actually working in our community? What's working in your community that you are? What solutions are working in your community when it comes to livelihood and green jobs? So what youth livelihood solution in your community are you most proud of, and what makes it work? Maybe 1 minute for people to gather their thoughts. It's open.
Yes, Harrison.
Yes.
So actually, we are almost like our normal time. Like we're almost like we just have like 5 more minutes. And actually,
Okay.
one could not really stop you because actually your slides and the amount of knowledge and everything in it is like so good and is giving one a lot of thoughts. And people are already asking about, can we have a copy of this? But I would love maybe for us to really take some time to talk, maybe a few people to talk on this, then we can call it, then we can give maybe one or two announcements, then we can call it a day. I don't know if it's okay for you. So you were suggesting people should take, I think, a minute to think through the questions. Definitely, they can take the minutes to really think or reflect. Then they can choose any. You can just raise your hand up, then you'll be called up. Is it okay for you?
I did not really get you clearly.
So I'm saying that we are almost like we are almost like the end of
Yeah,
our
at this
time.
time, yeah.
Yeah. So, but we already take some time maybe to add just to do one or two conclusion. So I'm saying that it's okay if somebody can take maybe a minute, or we can take a minute to just reflect on the questions. Then they can, whosoever is ready to contribute or to talk about or to answer, can just raise their hand up. They will be called up, then they can have the floor to talk for a minute, then we can go to the next person. Then I'm sure from after this after the exercise, we can then maybe share one or two updates, then we call it a day.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. That works. That's perfect.
Okay. So the questions will be there on the screen. Let me see. Is there any raise of hand? I'm not seeing well. Oh boy. Is everyone still seeing the questions on the screen? Are we seeing it? Are we seeing the questions?
Yes, the questions are on the screen.
Okay. So whosoever is ready, just raise your hand and you'll be called up. Yes, Igalo.
Okay. Good day, everyone. Good evening.
Am I audible enough?
Yes, yes.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we
Okay,
can
for
hear you.
question one. Okay. For question one, what youth livelihood solution in your community are you most proud of, and what made it work? Okay. I'll take this I'll answer in the personal notes. So in the chat I was talking about greener bricks. Yeah. So I would from my own perspective I would say greener bricks is one of the solution in my company that I'm very much proud of, because the way we started it, we were just in school. Yes, young students within our second year, we thought of, like, we're picking up waste from the environment and sensitizing the community, this community about proper waste management. Don't dispose in the school campus. Let us manage our waste well. Then after a while, we realized that we are piling a whole lot of plastic waste, a whole lot. I mean, a whole lot of kilograms of plastic waste. We had like a store allocated to us. Then we're working with our more like our advisor. Then he just came up with this idea of converting converting this plastic to value. Then he developed a machine that actually converts, that melts plastic with a percentage of silt sand, and when it comes out, it is actually paver bricks, like you mentioned, Mr. Harrison. But the unique thing about this particular solution, like I was just saying on the chat, is the ability for it to contain, we're able to contain all of the emissions. We use a wet scrubber, wet and dry scrubber, yeah, a combination of the two. So the chamber where there are layers of rocks, charcoal, and other materials, earth materials that filter all of this that filter all of these emissions, carbon emissions, and comes out as clean air. Though compared to when we started and where we are right now, there's a whole lot of progress, and that's something that I'm so much proud of, and I'm actually part of the organization and the company right now. So it's something that okay, what made it work? I think it's basically the same vision. All of us had the same mindset. We wanted to sensitize the community, the students. Then at the same time, we're not creating another problem of having a lot of plastic. So the engineer had this beautiful idea, and we were able to contribute. We did a lot of testing. That is testing the particle sizes that were being emitted from different ranges in the school, and it was just beautiful. So yeah, that's my response. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Igalo. I think great work you're doing there, and I also read it. I also read about your projects somewhere. So, is there any other person with maybe a comment, or maybe you want to answer the question? If you don't have, maybe you don't have want to answer the question, it's possible to just give a comment
Please,
over.
my hand is up.
Okay, Sophie.
I
Sorry,
don't know if you're seeing it.
I can't see everyone. It's okay. You can share.
Talking about question one. Hello, everyone. I'm Sophie. Looking at question one. What you livelihood solution in your community are you most proud of? My community, I'm from Manfi, and where we are, we don't have lights. The Cameroon electricity actually came there. They struggled to put up poles, but they did not complete the project. So for a very long time, we have not had lights for ages. People already used to using their lamps and candles. Then with the coming of the solar system, youth in the community actually came together and proposed an idea of installing solar in the community. But now the problem now was finances. How would they come about the finances? You know that bringing something new to the individuals people already used to their local way of life, using electricity, using lamps and candles. They were asking themselves how they go.
Sophie, is that we lost you? Sophie, are you there? Guys, it's like we lost Sophie. So, is there any other person who wants to raise a hand? When Sophie comes back, we'll hear from her. Sama, Cynthia, Ako, Nene, there's Tabel, there's Emily, please, Miriam. Ako, yes, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just want to, appreciate the organizers of this, webinar workshop, and also for the speaker today who actually did justice to, the topic. I really learned from this, and most times it's very important to do research, because research brings out all of the hidden, details, and also suggest solutions like you have come up with now. It's really, really important. All of these ideas that you have put together through this research, and I've learned a lot, and it's something that we need to also, I think I will also try to downscale this information that I've gathered from here to people in my community. I just want to thank you so much for this. And one thing that I have also discovered is that our young people, they like to work in silos, especially in Nigeria. If there's anything I've learned from the Cameroon community in the Bosch Alumni Network, is that they stick together. They're always together. Whenever there is something that involves them, they're always together, like you are here now. If it were something regarding Nigeria, most of us would have left or wouldn't come at all. So there is always need for collaboration, because when we collaborate together and not compete against each other, there's a lot that we can achieve and establish together. So it's really, really important. I would also like you to share your slides with us so that we can, especially myself, keep going through these and learn more and share with others. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ako. Harrison, do you want to answer Ako? Or I should just continue?
Yeah, just continue. I'll share the slides and maybe the research I talked about.
Okay, yeah. So I have the slides already. Maybe you can just send me the research while I'm sending the emails, I can just send to everybody, because people
All
have
right,
been
perfect.
asking. Yeah. Ako, thanks so much for your feedback. And from when we had the call of idea, I think last for the other program and everything, I've been like kind of amazed. I've been like wowed with some of the sessions that we have had, particularly the ones that we're talking about, the peace, it was like really wonderful. Then coming again and having us or having knowledge bringing me into this, and also seeing or going through the slides myself, I'm really wowed with. I'm really wowed with the knowledge and the content of the slides and what we are having. And thanks for talking about the collaboration we are trying to bring up in Cameroon. Honestly, Ako, we didn't really have that, but it's something we are trying to build, because I copied also from some of the band members in Nigeria, and that's why we're struggling to see that we try to build this. Sophie, you come up later. We have Emily, whose hand is up. Emily?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Just wanted feedback on the second question and in the area of skills. And the reason I'm going to be sharing here is that it's true that we always talk about finance, but then I feel like we can all be able to work and make money or raise money. But then there's a challenge when it comes to human resources and skills. As someone who has led an organization and businesses for over 12 years, I will tell you that's one of the major challenges. A lot of people go and get certifications. Oh, I have a bachelor's degree, I have a master's degree, I have a PhD. But when it comes to skills and experience on the ground, they don't have it. And as an employer, it's a big challenge because you have people who come with all this. I know I am so educated, I am informed, but they cannot do anything. They are not innovative. They are not smart. They are not proactive, because one thing with us who lead teams or employ people is you want to be able to find someone that works even when you don't give directives, because you bring ideas, you bring the network, you bring the platforms, and you need people that can run with it. But we don't have people like that, and it becomes difficult, it becomes tiring. Sometimes I tell my team members that rather than have a house full of 50 people, 10 people, I'd rather work with two committed and smart persons and we have results. And to be honest, right now, my team is, if I say my core team, it's highest three of us, if I'm not lying. One of my biggest challenge now is that one of my best had an accident. And then I start feeling like, oh, this is one of the best I've had. And then she's limited because of that accident. But you have people that you have to run after them. You share opportunities. For someone like me that has access to a lot of opportunities, I cannot apply or even run behind them a lot, right? Then you have a team, and then you have a group of, say, maybe 10 people who every time you share a call, nobody opens or even thinks to apply. But people just want to sit in spaces and get paid. They want salaries. I think I was even talking with a colleague the other day. We're traveling to Yaoundé together in the same bus. He's also an employer, and he was telling me about his challenges and how his staff only just sit and wait for payment. And I'm like, I've stopped all of that. I even had to share him a document. I think I have to look for it. I was like, I had developed a model where payment scale, I had a payment scale, a salary scale or stipend scale where it's divided. If you're expecting 50,000, 70,000, 100,000 francs from me every month, know that we're going to break down that money into different things. What are you doing to earn that money? How much did you bring as partnership? How much did you bring as income? What was your impact when it came to communication and visibility of the structure or the institution? What was your, all of those things matter. People should not just sit and expect that funding will come because you have a farm. If you have a farm and you are working, or even if it's not your farm and you're a staff in that farm, maybe a cleaner, you have a role to play in helping resources to come to that place. Because if resources don't come, you'll not be paid. So we have to change this mindset of always just saying there's no money, there's no money. There are multiple ways to raise funds and make money, but when we as team members cannot support the process and just sit and expect that we should be paid at the end of each month, then it becomes really troublesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emily. I love the comment section, and thank you so much, Emily. At least in Pidgin we say church don't close. We can easily just close the church now, because I think Fire was mentioning something about, is it lack of technology and something like that. I was like, but do you actually realize that majority of the youths in our region, they don't even use the normal Google Pixel or the normal Android phones. They are using the most expensive phones, the iPhones, the latest model. So where's the money really coming from? That they can't even maybe start up a business, and they just want to come maybe to the NGOs and maybe to a business and just sit down. And just like what Emily was sharing, you know, grants are first of all very hard maybe to get. And the little grants that always come in, you expect that every month you should be paid. When you just come and sit down, there's internet in the office, free Wi-Fi, and the only thing you can do is go through maybe your betting app, download series, download movies, and that's all. I think we have a lot already, and youth should not just be saying there is no money or there is no technology. The technology is there, because I think your phone itself is is a huge technology. People use it to do a lot, shoot videos, they do a lot just using their phones. Wow. There's one interesting thing about all these sessions. It's difficult to end them because there is a lot to talk about. So Sophie, are you there, or is there anybody that has something to share? Foba, you have been active. I want to hear your voice. So maybe after Sophie,
Say I'm here.
Yeah, Sophie can continue. We're talking about Manfi.
Yes, I was talking about Manfi and the issues with electricity. So when the solar came, the youths decided to come up with an initiative of bringing in the solar into the community rather than being in darkness. But you know, the layman who has really been used to getting normal lamps and candles, they saw it as a very difficult thing. It became very difficult convincing people to actually contribute and for us to install the solar. So when we noticed that the inhabitants of the community are not buying the idea because of the finances they have to use to bring in that solar. So the youths decided now to do contributions on their own, both those in and out of both those in the country and those out of the country. So they did the contribution, and I'm very proud to tell you that when you enter my community now, when it's evening, there's light everywhere. They did the installation and it is very good and perfect, and everybody is benefiting from it. Even those who did not buy the idea are also benefiting from it. So I think that when youths come together and they are united, they can do a lot of things and create a lot of impact, especially in communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophie. We have heard from question 1, we have heard about question 2. I'll be curious if someone wants to talk about question 3. And I'm sure I think we heard about the barriers when we were talking about question 2, but we should also look about the skills. And I think Harrison said something. So some people are even kind of afraid maybe to apply when some opportunities come up. Some people are like, hey, maybe I'll not be selected. I think someone mentioned they wrote a project and it was not selected, and maybe they just gave up. Or maybe there is something, maybe like there is a call for application, and maybe you are like, hey, I cannot do this. Guys, I will tell you, Zoom session for me, when I tell people that I'm still learning, some people are kind of, because I was afraid to even to handle the Zoom session. I was afraid to even put on my camera, and I'm sure there are many people that have worked with me now that maybe have mentored, that have volunteered under me. When they came, they were also having that same fight to even put on their cameras during Zoom sessions. But I bet you, just the little that you can do, you don't need to look far. The little you can do, try as much as possible to learn the little skills. If you are, maybe there's a workshop somewhere of baking, there's a workshop, don't just stick to one area. Me, it was just about agriculture and farming, but I'm definitely hosting a lot of Zoom sessions on different networks now, on different networks. So definitely, let's try as much as possible to learn different skills. I think it will help us a lot. Question TV, is anybody want to share something on that? Ruth, I'm just seeing you, like you're just coming in, and you're welcome.
Thank you so much, boss. Hello, everyone.
You
My
have some
apologies, my
questions.
late.
The day you shared, the day you facilitated, you have some questions that was sent to you.
Yes, I did, boss. I did. My apologies. I'm not really in the right frame of mind now. I was just jumping out from something. I'm so sorry for joining late.
No, it's understood. I'm just saying that your previous session, some people sent some questions, which I will forward to you.
Okay. I'll be looking forward. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome to this one. Is anybody want to share on the question TV? But Ruth, if you want to share anything, it's okay. Is there any hand
Not
raised?
from my end, boss. I was just
Okay.
reacting. I was just reacting to the information you shared with me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Question TV, please. Is anybody that Ako, yes.
Yeah, I just want to say that cross-country networking and collaboration is really vital. It wasn't common to be in networks where people of different African countries would meet and, talk about, problems and solutions in their various communities, and learning from those spaces to, you know, implement those learnings in their various communities. So it's very, very important that we continue to have meetings like this where we can come from our different communities across Africa and brainstorm together, and also learn from people who have done it in other parts of Africa and bring those same solutions to our own communities. I think is very, very important, because this is one way to develop Africa as a continent, and also to create to make our bonding stronger. So I think it's really important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ako. There is Faye, Faye that's been raising her hand. After that is Odunayo. But before she speaks, I'll say something. Faye?
Please, sir, can I speak now?
Yes, it's Faye, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can speak.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. What I want to say or concerning question 3 is that as youth, what we need to do is we need to come together, as Madam Emily rightly said. We come together with our initiatives. Like example, if you know something that an innovative solution that you guys are doing in Nigeria, you can decide to teach another country, example Cameroon, that innovative idea. And we should avoid competition, trying to show that we are the best, because all this is for the planet. So that's just all I want to say, that we should avoid competition and focus on building one another, because we all are from the same planet.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Faye. Let me just say a joke, particularly the competition about jollof rice, because those will be joining us in Cameroon in the next few days. Definitely, you will taste Cameroon jollof rice and you will enter the competition seriously. Just joking though.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Let them just test it. Don't say.
Okay. So, Odenayo, you will be taking the mic, but before you speak, I just want to tell Ako that Odenayo had a program, I think that was last 2 years. She was hosting us CXC, I think, members around the region. And when I went to Nigeria, I met with, I think she was not there, but she gave the opportunity to Omotoke to host us. And that is where I learned a lot about networking. I think Omotoke had to put me down and talk to me a lot about ban, how you can get access to these opportunities. Don't be scared to apply for this or whatsoever, and to bring your team in, to bring people. And I saw how connected I think we were 6 or 8 of us, how connected like everybody was. And I really appreciate her for applying for the opportunity and the opportunity for me to meet them in Nigeria. And so, Ako, if you are commenting on how we are coming together to collaborate, definitely, I think the foundation came from that program, and I'm happy that this is like the second year and we are moving. So, Odenayo, I know we have been meeting in all kind of online platforms, but we have never met physically. And I love the glasses too. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, JK. Thank you, Nolis. I just wanted to respond to the third question, but I think what the person that spoke before me had said, and what you also just said, JK, points to what I want to share. I feel like many of us working in the West African regions, we probably don't know so much about what each person is doing. because collaboration, a lot of people are saying collaboration, collaboration. And that's really the key thing for us right now. This is not a time for anybody to be working in silo. This is not a time for anybody to be feeling threatened by the work that other people are doing. This is a time for us to come together, to support each other, and just build on the great work that we're all doing in different communities. But for that to happen, we really need to know what each person is doing. And that's why spaces like this is what spaces like this would help us to achieve when we come together as, African change makers, West Africa especially. We get to know what people are doing. I can see my friend Emily on the call as well, just to know what has evolved over time, because sometimes we've seen 4 years ago or something, then we know what's happening now, and we can then see different elements of each of our various organizations that we can implement, in different places. So, for example, myself, I run Bramble Network, and we build tuition-free schools in rural communities. We run alternative learning centers as well. We do teacher training programs, school leaders training, and all of that. And I think from beginning, I've been a very collaborative person. So I'm always saying, if you have any wonderful program that you think young people can benefit from, come, let's do it together. Come and implement with my communities. We work across 28 communities, so if we can, for the people participating in this program, at least this is our circle of influence. So if there's a material that we can read what each person is doing before we even come together physically, or even just in the WhatsApp group, that would really, really help, so that we'll know what to propose, what to share, what to learn, and what we can do together. So that's what I wanted to say. So anybody doing any education program, I am very, very available to support.
Thank you so much, Odunayo. And great work you are doing with Bramble. I've been following it on social media as well. And the suggestion, thank you so much for that. And this has been a cry, like, since we started. I think that was last month with the call for idea with the four series we had. It has been a cry because people want to continue. People want to have that platform where to keep this going and to get to know each other, what we do. And just as a suggestion and an objective which I was giving, that we are creating a space where if maybe Anita Ako, maybe she's running maybe a workshop tomorrow, she needs somebody to talk on a particular field. Definitely, you know who to run to. At first, when it comes to AI, when I met Fash, I know a few of us from Ban, I think we have met Fash. When I met Fash in Rwanda, and he introduced me to AI, and I was like so wowed. If there is anything that concerns AI, even if it's not with Ban or any other network which I'm working with, the first person my mind goes to is Fash. So it will be important. I don't know if it will be okay, but I think I have our emails. I'll try and get in contact with each and every one of us if there is a possibility that maybe we can create something that we can maybe share a little bit of our profiles. Maybe a few sentences like, what do you do? Like, so it will be easy for us. And even if it does not concern ban, if you have something in your area, maybe your community or where you are running, and you need somebody to do a facilitation, definitely you know who to run to. We need this networking. And I'll throw this on finance as well. We need the finance when we're talking about financial independence. We need these other areas that small things will be coming in. If you are doing a workshop somewhere, you need food transformation, knowledge is there. If I'm not there, Akko, I didn't want to talk about Akko's section. Akko is like really multi-talented. There is Emily, who is like I'll call our rich auntie in quotes. Emily. So so with this, Harrison, we are really, really behind time. I just want you maybe just conclude on this and also share maybe from what you have listened, we'll definitely continue with this. There are a lot of opportunities that are coming up in BAN. The project, the meetup we'll be having in Limbe, I think that is next 2 weeks. It's a continuation of a regional program that we had. They saw how well we did it, and they were the ones who recommended that I should come up with a call for ideas. Definitely, with how well this one has gone, and how maybe I'll also share the records and also the meetup that we'll be having in Boya. I hope that they will also propose that this knowledge will apply for maybe for a call for ideas, hopefully. And you give us an opportunity that we meet, not just us in Cameroon, we can also bring our brothers and sisters from Nigeria, Ghana, and these other countries, definitely. So I really want to thank you, Knowledge, are you still there? I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to facilitate, even though most of it is coming maybe at the late hours, because I thought you were to do all this, but it happens that you are not in Cameroon, and with everything, I'm happy you have always been there for me, and I'm happy to be there for you. Last week we shared, Knowledge will definitely send an email. There will be, I think, I think TV mini grants that will be funded with everything that we have learned here. Harrison gave an opportunity for us to talk about the little projects happening in our communities and what you're doing. If you have a small workshop that you want to run, I don't know if the money is 200 euros, it's 100 euros. Knowledge is going to share the link to everyone, whether you're attending online or you're attending the in-person. You have the opportunity. Okay, TV, yeah, Knowledge just said TV. There are TV grants, mini grants though, so you can have maybe something small, maybe in your area, to also help to impact others, not just so the in-person, I remember he was talking about June, but I know that some of us have to be, or some of the band members have to be in Zanzibar, I think in the month of June. So I'm sure, but it will be in June. But the most interesting thing is the funds for these programs are very small. That's why it's hard. Because I did this last year for the regional, and it was with the little grants, it is impossible to bring people out of Cameroon. But if people want to self-fund, definitely he's going to share the application if you want to self-fund yourself. But for the call of ideas, I'm sure the money was a little bit is a little bit there, and that's why BAN is able to pay the flight for those that will be coming for my own program. But for his, I know it's mostly for those in Cameroon. And last year it was the same thing, but we had ACO was one of those that benefited from the region, from the mini grant, even though she could not make it to Cameroon. There was Faisal from Ghana. He also, yes, this is not this program is on regional, this is regional grant, Igalo. The call for ideas is totally different. So I saw your application, which I'll talk to you later about it. Now, this is going to share an email on how you can apply and maybe what you send to him. If it's an A4 document, it's over. But everybody is okay to apply, and those that will be meeting in Cameroon, it will be nice to meet some of you. If you are not part of BAN, it's very much. Last year we didn't have in my program. I bought people who were not part of BAN. There were people from Canterbury. Those my mentees from Canterbury. I brought them in so that, and I also had asked Emily to suggest some other people who were not even part of BAN. So if you attended this program, you're not part of BAN, yeah, you are in Boya or in Limbe, we would definitely love to meet you because we want to meet you in person. Definitely, I'm sure Knowledge will reach to everyone. Is there anything again? I'm not sure. Knowledge, is there anything? I know that you said you are on transit. Hope you bring us something nice. Knowledge, is there anything that you want to add? Hello, Knowledge?
Yes. Much of what I would like to say, but I think it goes in as an appreciation to maybe you and everyone here
who has taken time to show up for this amazing opportunity, because I can remember it all started like this last year with yours. And today we have the call for ideas, which they gave you, and you are bringing people in Cameroon. So just to add to that, like you said, those who can self-fund themselves, we'll be happy to have them in Cameroon, and we'll enjoy our karaoke night. Okay, so with that, I think that's fine. And Mr. Njeke, thank you once more for being there for me. Like you said, maybe I've been there for you, but it's more like you are the boss. So thank you very much for being here, and everyone who has taken that time to be here to attend this. Probably I look forward to seeing everyone more active in Boya. Yes, we have the in-person program in Boya, and because of the upcoming bath in Zanzibar, I think we will need to reschedule it maybe so you can accommodate your program which is coming at the end of this month, and that in Ban which is also at the end of June, so that there should be more time for those who are probably going to Zanzibar and those who are coming in to Cameroon to attend yours. So with that said and done, I think more will be coming up as a follow-up email from my side. Thank you once more, everyone, for this, and Mr. Njeke for being there. Boss Emily Miki, the Queen, thank you too for being here. So that's it. Thank you, Mr. Njeke. And Mr. Harrison, thank you for your presentation. Amazing one. I think I've just been going through the slides. I've been going through them since yesterday. Really amazing. I look forward to, because this is it's answering most of what we are coming here to do as youth and to collaborate as one. Also, I looked at most of us to come into answering this third question: how could we connect our work across West and Central Africa to amplify impact? I think that's called to our activities, and we'll probably dive deep into that in our in-person session as well. So, thank you very much, Mr. Jeke. Thank you, everyone. That should be it.
Thank
Back
you,
to you.
Tony.
Over to you, Mr. Jeke.
Okay, so before everything concludes, I just want to say, Odina, you were asking, it wasn't clear that there are different events. Okay, so you are part of BAN and there is a call for ideas. For the past, I think the past 6 weeks, I got the call for ideas, which I've been holding, I think, 4 online sessions for the past 6 weeks. And I will be hosting, I think, 20 to 21 persons in Limbe, Cameroon. Then there are, I think, 3 to 4 people that will be coming from Nigeria and Ghana to attend that program. So, the call for idea, like, it's a little bit, the funds can afford, that BAN can pay for the flight for those that are coming in.
Yes, it's a meeting.
Hello? Okay, sorry. So that's for my own program, which is different, because many of those that are attending this session now, they were part of the call for ideas. It so happened, I think Rachel was also, I think she had a fund for local meetup, which I think we met, I don't know, it was last month or last 2 months. Few Cameroonians met together, and that's where I got to know Harrison. I got to meet with Tabe again, and we were surprised that so there are these much band members in Cameroon that we didn't know about. And it so happened that I had to talk about the Call of Ideas there, and Nordis also shared that he also was funded with the regional grants to host an activity which is this. And it's just, the funds is not that much. So he applied that he wants to host some band members in Cameroon, and he will host online activities. So definitely the funds is not really much to bring people out of Cameroon, but he can afford bringing those in Cameroon together. That's what I was trying to explain. I don't know if it's I don't know if you have understood now. Thank you very much. Yes, Emily, but Harrison, you are in Cameroon. Yes, I'm sure Harrison was added because we noticed that there was a lot going on. Even the program we did last year, many band members didn't know. Like, and I'll add to this is because
being around my friends because they always make me laugh, and I also can make them laugh. So maybe they will say something about it.
Okay, so I always.
who is talking? So we also realized that many band members had, like, they were not really active. That's why they see the emails and they don't bother to read, or they don't bother to apply. And so we just had to encourage and motivate most of the band members. This does not just happen just for Cameroonians. It happens even like the entire network that we are struggling, that lots of members start getting involved in our activities. And we had to create awareness that there's a lot of opportunities. The learning exchange grants, there's a lot of opportunities there in the network. And we're happy that since from that time, many now are getting interested to apply for opportunities and to meet in person. So, and others that were not in the WhatsApp group, we had to look for a way to bring them in. And so I'm sure like there are many that we hope that we are going to bring them in the nearest future. Harrison, we're like, just give us a conclusion, and if there's any question, just write me on WhatsApp, just write me on email. I'm always there to answer. Thank you, Harrison.
Okay, Mr. Njeke, thank you so much. Can you go to my last slide? The church must close properly. Thank you.
Guy, come on. Okay.
Okay. Man, I mean, everything we've said, I feel like I should not say anything again, but I just wanted to leave us with these three things in my head. So the first thing that we have to summarize is like, we need to reframe entrepreneurship, especially social entrepreneurship. That is not a fallback when jobs fail, because it is a strategic, very dignified and powerful pathway to independence, to innovation and community transformation. If we think like that, it's very important. So when we go back to our community, your network, your organization, you have to say that out loud. We need to change the conversation. Actually, I think it's very important, because sometimes we feel like entrepreneurship is like a consolation prize. It is not. It is the first choice for some people. I remember, I just want to share this because I was not in the band alumni. I wasn't active before I met maybe JK and the other people in a meetup in Boya. So I took part in CA, these change makers for the planet in Europe. So I was in Europe, I was staying in Europe then. So when I finished, I joined the Bosch Alumni Network, but I wasn't very active there during that time. And it was limited to, I was just seeing opportunities in Europe. So when I came back to Cameroon, I had to change my location. So I said, no, I need to start really getting into the Bosch Alumni Network. Because I was seeing the opportunities, and sometimes I just decided, so I took that step. Now I started engaging, and I saw Rachel, she messaged me because I changed my location back to Cameroon. So she was able to see that I'm in Cameroon and message me, and that's how it started. And we had this very interesting conversation in Boya. Sometimes the physical meetups are really very important. And right now I'm looking at really how to benefit from these opportunities that are available in this network. Of course, we are in so many networks. Personally, I'm also in so many networks. So sometimes it's easy for people to miss a particular network, miss the opportunities in a particular network. It takes intentionality to really follow up. Ban sends you a lot of emails, and sometimes you just pass the email. But intentionality, I think, is something that will work. And if we have opportunities to connect physically, like for those who are coming to Boya, it will really be great for us to continue these conversations there. I might not be there in Boya because in June I'll really be unavailable. So, but when those who get there, these conversations can really continue. And finally, we need to collaborate across borders. I think Mr. Njeke's event is coming up on the 28th of May, something like that. Hopefully, we can also take the collaboration there. And it's important. Sometimes funding is limited, that we cannot meet physically to collaborate across borders, like across West and Central Africa. But when we have this avenue of this digital engagement, we need to look at, like, I know what people are working on. How do we collaborate? So we really need to continue with this. So that's all from my side. I'm so sorry about the internet connectivity and everything, but I'm hoping that what I shared resonate with a lot of us, and we can keep up with the conversation. Anything climate action. So I'm working a lot on climate climate action, circular economy. I've worked on projects on circular economy. So if you have anything, you can reach out. Now I'm working on mobility. So sustainable mobility, I'm working on clean air. So anything circular economy, you can always get to me, and we can always look at ways to collaborate and continue this journey of sustainability in our communities. So yeah, the church is dismissed.
Thank you so much, Harrison. I think Foba was asking about, please share us some links to where we can have some of maybe the funds or anything that has to do, foundations that do with what you do, the climate, and definitely we'll meet in Limbe. You ask Harrison all the questions that you want to ask, and you can also ask questions through me. You can check on the emails. Everyone's email is there. You can easily get it and get to them. Thank you so much for taking this time to attend this session of today. Thank you, Nollies. Thank you for those who came in to give their thoughts, and we'll see you in the next few days or few weeks. And keep us connected. Keep the connection going. Apply for opportunities. Those who are in ban, apply for opportunities and choose anyone here, call them in to do some facilitations for you. Or there are those that are good with cameras, there are those that are good to cover events. You can contact them. If you're having a workshop, you can bring them in. And I'll be thinking on how to create maybe a little bit of a platform where we can see whatsoever thing we do. Thank you so much for your time, and I will not be able to take a photo today, but just unmute yourself and we say bye-bye quietly, and I'll get Knowledge to get in contact with you or get in contact with you. Bye-bye to everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Everybody, thank you
Bye-bye.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Igalo, I'll
Thank
get to you.
you.
Bye
Okay,
to
thank you.
everyone.
You be there, Rico.
Emily, who?
Ruth, I seen
Bye.
a Ruth yesterday.
Yes.
But hey, Miriam,
Good Casper.
it was
Good
nice
Casper,
to.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah, I'm supposed to end this meeting, right?